Hi, little fart.
Hi, little farts, little
Hi.
booger butts. Okay, bye.
Guess what time is it? Story time. Okay, today we're reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. This is one of my favorite books. So, and you're welcome. I didn't wash my makeup off, so I don't look like I just crawled out of bed. I'm still in my bed though. Heart. Okay. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing except old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax? And why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin cold under the roof where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dank nights in August he peeks out of the shutters and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 50 cents and a nail and the shell of a great great grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. And then he hides what you pay him away in his snub, his secret strange hold, in his grooveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone for secrets I tell you for your ears alone. Slip. Down slipped the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through his snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bee up his nose. Now I tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long time back, way back in the days where the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swoomy songs rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbalot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the riptulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. Oh, shit. Sorry for the interruption. I had to lift Doggy. He wants to have story time too. Okay. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for such as these. The touch of their tufts, as much softer than silk, and they have the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt great leaping of a heart, of joy in my heart. I just knew what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took that soft tuft and I needed a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazap. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was a sort of man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax, and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, what's that thing you've made out of my truff? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed finds something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Aw. The Lorax said, sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. The dog left. Cranky. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute, a chap came along. And he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You can never tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radio phone, and I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers, my uncles, and my aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken. Sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, the factory I built, the Onceler family was working full tilt. They were all knitting needs. They were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as beads, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. So what do you guys think, right? If we keep chopping the truffula trees, what is going to happen? I'm going to let you answer. More shall be revealed. We're going to keep reading. Then, ooh, baby, ooh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented the super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the Barbaloots, who play in the shade in their Barbaloot suits. And they happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to you, you're hacking my trees to the ground. There's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor Barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad, and I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of the crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered my loads. Of the thneeds I shipped out, I was shipping them forth to south, to east, to west, to north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I had biggered my money, which everyone needs. And then he came back. And then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he sniffed. He snarled, he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a furious croak. Onceler, you're making so much smogulous smoke. My poor swanny swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throats. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax. His danger was up. Let me say a few words about this gluppity glup. Your machinery clogs on day and night without stop, making gluppity glup, also schloppity schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all glummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll wish on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. Then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yappity yap and say bad, bad, bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From the outside the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree, and then we heard a tree fall. That very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove under the smogged stars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, gave me a very sad, sad backward glance, and he lifted himself up by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hesitated himself and took leave of his place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all the Lorax left here, and all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day past then, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all my heart. But now, said the Onceler, that you are here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless somebody like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. This is a very important page, little girls. What this means is that you have the power to make change in this whole entire world, even if it's a small change. And that's what this is saying here. So catch, called the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. Aww, isn't that sweet? Isn't that a sweet book? Okay, I hope you loved that. That was one of my favorites, the Lorax. Until next time, my lovies.